I started in 2005 selling satellites. I legit ran door to door. I would run from one house to the next house. I would cut through the lawns before somebody could say, "Don't run through my lawn." I was already at the neighbor's house. You know, the how you measure your life talks about that you got to meet your needs first, like your physical needs. But then once you've met your needs and kind of met your money needs, then there's other levels of influence and other levels of things that you're trying to get, right? One of the next level up is recognition. People really want to be recognized and honored for what they've done. And then after that, it's like leaving a legacy. Like, what do I want to do? How do I want to leave a legacy for the rest of it? But it's not about the money, it's about the number, right? I put a goal out and I've got other people that are counting on me and I'm counting on me and I'm a man of my word and that's what I said, so I'm gonna go do it. You know what I mean?
100%.
You know, what are the qualities? I think somebody that is willing to work irregardless of the outcome. If you get married to the process, you're gonna win. If you get married to the result, you may or may not win. If I'm engaged with them, they feel like, man, this guy really likes me. He's really talking to me. Because so often even when we're trying to network with somebody, we're like getting to know them a little bit and we're kind of all over the place instead of just locking in. I coached a little 4-year-old soccer once, and AYSO, and at the end of the game, I would go up to the kids and I would just make them stare at me. And I'd say, "Did you have fun today? You did so great. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy you're here." I'm getting emotional thinking about it. Because that kid, I want that kid to know that they're important. I want to make sure that I'm associating with good people. What will happen if you become the best? If you become the best person that you can be, people will be attracted to that. People will want to come talk to you.
That's powerful.
Right? And then you'll get to know them and your network will grow.
Code to Winning podcast. Insights you'll need today in order for you to seize the world tomorrow. Today we actually have a very special guest, Ashton Buswell, the GOAT of solar. Over 900 installs personal in his career in solar installations. One of the people in the Mount Rushmore of solar. Everybody in the industry knows Ashton Buswell. Today it is a great privilege to actually have him in his very own legacy offices in San Diego. Ashton, thank you so much, sir.
You got it, man.
Appreciate your
Welcome
time.
to San Diego.
I love it. I love the city. I did PES for like a short time over here as well.
Okay.
Awesome. Let's just go straight into it. Like, who is Ashton Buswell?
Oh man, there's lots of things that make me who I am. I've gone through an exercise where they said, people have asked that and said, what are four major things in your life? So this may be too canned, I don't know. But a lot of who I am is built from growing up in a family of 8 kids, traveling, moving multiple times when I grew up. I know what it's like to be the one when there's nobody, like it's just me, you know, like I understand what it feels like to be the one, so I try to reach out to the one. That's helped develop me a lot. Wrestling has really developed who I am a lot.
Are you from Idaho?
I was born in Colorado, raised in Kansas, moved to Montana, and then moved to Utah when I was a sophomore. My parents have stayed there in Utah, and then my faith, man. I'm a big man of faith, and my family. So there's a lot. I don't know that I did a very good job of kind of helping you know who I am, but those things have developed who I am. Who I am as a man of God and a lover of people.
Awesome. No, that's perfect. I actually liked it a lot. And I wanted to segue actually into the next topic as well. How did you come in contact or join the door-to-door industry? I mean, this field you've dominated for a while, but how did you start in this industry?
Yeah, I started when a lot of people were in like kindergarten or second grade. I've been in it a long time. I'm an old guy in the industry. I started in 2005 selling satellites. I legit ran door to door. I would run from one house to the next house. I would cut through the lawns before somebody could say, "Don't run through my lawn." I was already at the neighbor's house, and I was making $65 a sell. So I started in it. I only lost one time my junior year in wrestling, and the guy that I lost to, his dad was the coach of Utah wrestling, and we became good friends. His little brother and I wrestled together at Rick's College, and anyway, I got home from my Mormon mission, and his dad, I went and visited his dad just to hang out. He's like, "Hey, Brandon's out selling satellites door to door. You should do it. You'd be good at it." I was like, "I don't know anything about sales." He's like, "Yeah, but you can work hard." I'm like, "Yeah, I can work hard." He's like, "Then you could do it." I was like, "Is that all it takes? Like, I just have to work hard?" And he's like, he's like, that's what Brendan tells me. I don't know. I guess you should talk to him. And so when he came back from the summer, I met up with him, talked to him about it, and he said, listen, man, our goal would be to help you make $40,000 or $20,000 in a summer. And I thought, if I worked all summer long and made $20,000, I could just focus on grades and girls, like I'm in, you know, like, and not to have like a normal job throughout the school year.
Yeah.
And I ended up making $40,000 and have only made more since, you know. But so I got in it because a friend that I wrestled with in high school was doing it.
Awesome, powerful.
Yeah.
So, in 2005 to 2023, it's close to 20 years right now. You've often seen like the door-to-door industry has changed completely from what it was.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What would you say is the biggest difference from then and now?
You know, I think a lot of there's a lot of really good people in the door-to-door space. There's also some not as good people, but for the most part, it's all really good people doing the best for them and their families. And I'd like to think that a lot of the best people came from that nucleus in Atlas. People know the name Casey Baugh and Jeff Mendez. They were Atlas. Doug Robinson, Luke Toon, Ashton Buswell, we were Dave Force. We were a part of Atlas, and it was this really awesome culture of development, personal development, that I'm so grateful has spilled out into what I feel like all the solar companies now, no, not all the solar companies, but all the door-to-door companies most of them have some sort of influence from the names that I just said. And again, it wasn't started there. Todd Peterson was there before all of those things, and he did a lot of good, but Casey and Jeff brought a really good culture to Vivint that helped them grow. So anyway, how it's changed over the years is we started out real fundamental, like, let's go develop and be amazing. And then it kind of turned into a little bit of a bro culture of like, hey bro, yeah bro, let's go make all this money, bro. Like it kind of turned into that a little bit that I didn't like, that it was kind of it was a little more showy. And now I think there's still some of that, but I think that it's kind of evolved more back to the, hey, let's develop as human beings. A lot of door-to-door salespeople are doing solar, which is the promised land, I think. I'm in it. It's a gold rush. I'm in it, and I think it'll be a promised land for a while. I think there'll be a lot of millionaires made by doing solar. And then the fun part about the product, everybody wins, but you know, how you measure your life talks about that you got to meet your needs first, like your physical needs. But then once you've met your needs and kind of met your money needs, then there's other levels of influence and other levels of things that you're trying to get, right? One of the next level up is recognition. People really want to be recognized and honored for what they've done. And then after that, it's like leaving a legacy. Like, what do I want to do? How do I want to leave a legacy for the rest of the people? And earlier we were talking, and my heart's warm that there's people not in my company that are giving trainings that I gave them a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever, and they still talk about it. I mean, that makes me feel good that I'm leaving a legacy that people want to learn from, right, and follow. And so I think the opportunity that solar provides for people when there's a higher ticket item or more income is people can now move on to, instead of just making a ton of money or making a ton of money to have flashy cars, it's like, all right, I can buy the car and get a cool car, but then I still got more money coming in. What am I going to do with this? And hopefully they start to think about buying properties and investing in other things that will then make a really awesome legacy for them and their family down the road. So,
and I couldn't agree more. And do you think because solar, there's just so much abundance of wealth that sometimes sales reps tend to become a bit more complacent rather than being in a different industry?
Yeah. It's an interesting cycle with solar sales guys. They will come in hungry, crush it, make a lot of money, feel great about making a lot of money, and want to continue to make lots of money. And then they'll get to a point where they're like, I got so much money.
More than I've ever made.
That they'll stop working a little bit. And then all of a sudden working 3 hours in a day is a lot of time. It's like, bro, 3 hours in a day? When I started, it was 7 hours of knocking. every day. They gave a bonus called an Ironman bonus. And I'm older, right? I mean, 2005, almost 20 years ago. I was a poor college kid. If you knocked 7 hours a day every single day and only took Sundays off and 3 other days the whole summer, they gave you a $1,000 bonus. And I was like, you're gonna give me $1,000 just to do my job? Yeah, I'll do my job, right? And so I'm clocked into 7 hours a day. Some of these solar guys are like, no way, I'd never do that. 4 hours a day of knocking is a lot for a lot of people. And I'm like, that's a half of a normal work day. What the heck, you know? But they get lulled into the idea of that they've got what they need, and well, maybe I'll just go out during prime time and not try to get those early ones, and they forget what got them there, and what you do have to evolve, right? There's a certain amount of leads that you can get on your own in a given time. And then you've really got to evolve to getting referrals, and you've got to evolve to getting lead partners, and you've got to evolve to like building relationships, right? I got a big deal that's going to hit probably today or tomorrow that'll make me $15,000 to $20,000 from a relationship that I created with a mortgage broker. 100%. Right? And that when I'm first starting out as a brand new rep, if I'm trying to make too many of those relationships, I'm not making any money because I need to be knocking on doors, right? So anyway, there's levels to getting more progress, but I think guys get a lot of money in their pocket. And what I've seen though, the best guys, is they'll go through that cycle where they make a lot of money, be happy about it, and make more money, and then get complacent and not work a whole lot. And then they're kind of going through the solar coaster of making lots, not making lots. And then they're like, this isn't very fun. It's funner just to crush it all the time. And it becomes less about the money and more about the number and the competition. And then the best ones will continue to produce, right? This month, my normal job now as a VP isn't to sell a lot, but saw an opportunity to kind of help Legacy crush it, and threw out a goal. Let's do 20. Everybody who's going to do 28 sales in 28 days. I'm in. I want to do it. Who else is with me, right? Let's go do this, and let's go lead our teams. Let's go lead our people. I'm at 13 on the month.
Wow.
And that's an incredible month, but I'm
Wow.
not happy about it. Right? Because the goal is 28. And I've had like 7 people tell me in the last little bit, no, we're going a different direction. I could show you my book, I've got like 25 people that are all really close. So I still think I'm gonna get 28, even though we've got like, how many more days left? We got 8 days left, not even, 7 days?
8 days left.
Yeah,
so.
6 days, whatever it is. I'm gonna sign up a crap ton of people in the next 6 or 7 days.
Wow.
And because I believe it up here. And anyway, so it becomes less about the money. 13 sales in a month. When all those go to install, my pull-through rate's really high. That's a lot of money, man.
100%.
But it's not about the money, it's about the number, right? I put a goal out, and I've got other people that are counting on me, and I'm counting on me, and I'm a man of my word, and that's what I said, so I'm gonna go do it. You know what I mean?
100%.
So anyway.
No, I love that. I love that. And I think the reason why I bring that example up, when I first did pest control in New Jersey, and then I ended up doing pest again, like it was, you got small amounts of money, about $200 a sale, and it accumulates to like thousands of dollars throughout the summer. And then when I ended up doing solar industry, I first moved to California before my wife joined me after we got married, and then we moved completely all our stuff there. But when she came through, it was my first self-gen, and when she saw like the check, and it's like boom, like 14,900, we're like, wow. And it's easy for that kind of mindset when you're like, you'd work this hard for about maybe 3 or 2.5 months and like, pests or so forth. But then getting that, it's easy for you just to become complacent, because it's almost like, wow, I don't have to actually work that hard. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's about changing the paradigm shift as well. Yeah. But how do you, then my next question, how would you then identify the most important quality in a salesperson? What's the most important quality for them?
They need to be a wrestler.
I love that.
I love wrestlers because I wrestled, right? But it's not that. It's the work ethic. I will take.
Can you develop it, or is it something you just
No,
have?
you can totally develop it.
Okay.
I would totally take. I mean, I jokingly say, but in real life, love recruiting wrestlers, farmers, and cross-country runners and swimmers.
Okay.
Those are individual sports that take a lot of grit, right? and a farmer knows how to work. If if they're from Nebraska and they were raised on a farm, dude, come sell with me. You may not have all the skill, but you're gonna know how to hustle. I'll trade your boots. I'll buy you a pair of running shoes. Just let's go work, right? And so, I think the best. So you ask what are the qualities? I think somebody that is willing to work, irregardless of the outcome. If you get married to the process, you're gonna win. If you get married to the result, you may or may not win. Sometimes people win if they're married to the result, right? Sometimes they get the result that they are married to or that they really want, and that's fantastic. But it kind of ends then, right? If you want somebody to walk a really long time, find somebody that really enjoys walking, not the destination that they're going to go walk to. You know what I mean?
I love that.
So anyway, hard work. Somebody that's willing to work hard, I'll mold that person into what to say and when to say it and start to read this body language and all those things. I can help you with that. But I can't often teach. You can teach, you can tell them the recipe is hard work and tell them you need to do these things. But it's a little bit harder to teach that and really get that ingrained in somebody than the sales skills.
I think that also goes in line with I don't know. You don't watch soccer, right, or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Soccer.
So there's one of the biggest global superstars. His name is Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, Ronaldo.
Yeah, and so
Took all that money, dude. Go play back in the European League. Man. Come on.
There we go. And so his story. There's also Messi from Argentina, who is completely talented. Like the ball is glued to his foot. But Ronaldo was one of those that was always the first. All his coaches talk about how he was the first on the training ground and the last to leave. Always worked on like his shooting, worked on his heading, worked on every aspect of his body, how he ate, like all the sacrifices he made to prolong that longevity as well. All right, and I like what you said, because you have identified that wrestlers have got that competitive edge, like they want to win, they know how to work hard as well. Do you think also people that are married might have a better why than those that aren't married? What's your opinion?
Maybe. I think some people say yes on that, like for sure, and I would say maybe. They have, as far as a why goes, yeah, they have a why. Sometimes that why can trump their thinking though in the moment.
Okay.
Right? If it's a married guy, oftentimes they'll have a really solid why of what they're doing, but they'll also need to make money sooner than a single guy or girl. And if they don't, they may not give the process long enough for it to actually become fruit, right? If they're working really hard, but they're just at the cusp of it, and then they're like, I'm out, I gotta go. I gotta find something else because this isn't working. They could maybe just miss it. So, so maybe married people, maybe not. And kind of back to the sports thing, why I mentioned some different categories of sports.
I noticed cross country.
And football players and soccer players and those team sports, they can also be great. But where sales has become my sport and my hobby, and sometimes people are like, well, dude, you don't really do a whole lot, but you sell. I'm like, that's how I have fun. I enjoy competing. It's a sport to me. And sometimes people measure the dollars and cents like the scorecard, and that can be a scorecard, but really it's just, to me, it's like sales, right? Sales and installs. Super proud that I have over 900 personal installs. Super proud of that. I know a handful of people that have more than me. That's amazing. I consider myself one of the best solar professionals in the world in personal sales and management and all that stuff. I've been in this game since 2005, right? In door-to-door sales. And there's a lot of people, there's other people that are in that same realm too, right? But it's fun to consider myself that, and it's because I'm a competitive person and I'm a sports guy, and this is my sport. Ronaldo, Messi, they want to be Federer, Djokovic, they want to be the top guys in their sport forever. There's the LeBron debate, right? Wants to be the top guy, known in all the categories.
So the debate ended, actually.
Right, the debate maybe has ended. but those guys, that's a cool place to be, and I think people that can treat life or their jobs like a competition, they'll be more successful. That might be married, that might be single, that might be a farmer, that might be synchronized swimmer. You know what I mean? I don't know, but if you can treat it in a way that you're trying to make life a competition. Sometimes the competition for me is how happy I can be, or how happy I can make somebody be at the door. That's a funny competition to have. Can I get this person to smile fast? How fast can I get them to smile? Can I get them to smile for a long time or a little time, right? Like that's, anyway, you're getting into my brain a little bit about how I compete and how I try to make my life better and other people's lives better, and a lot of it is just trying to win every day, man, win all the situations.
I love it. And with the success that you've accumulated over these years, what has been like your sales like strategy? Let's be more practical. Like, what are the things that have helped you like step by step reach that next level? Because you're still hungrier than some people that actually started 2 years ago. You know, what has been that sales strategy for you, like in step by step?
When I was in the full-on grind of any of my things that I've sold, so door to door, I sold satellites for 3 years, then I sold alarms for 3 years. I actually moved to San Diego to start some businesses with my brother, and then did some other things for a couple of years, and then got back into solar. Official date was December 31st of 2013, so I can say from 2013, but really 2014, right? So 9 years in solar, it's a long time. And when I was in the grind, so again, my role is a little bit different right now, but I still am hungry. But let me talk about while I was in the grind and growing, okay? Just like somebody in track or lifting weights plateaus up to the next level, I believe that sales is the same way. Mm-hmm. And the way that I would always be hungry is I was always looking for the next plateau. Okay, if you're a brand new sales rep doing solar, you're gonna be setting leads, and you gotta be a one a day rep. That's what your goal should be. I'm gonna get one lead every day. I'll knock, if it doesn't matter if it's the last door of the day, every single day I'm gonna get one lead. And prove to yourself and prove to other people that you're a one a day rep. That's who you are. Walk around that way, that's who I am. And then after a while, after proving that to your leadership and to yourself, like it's not that much more to be a 1.5 a day rep, right? If you're knocking 6 days, you go from 6 to 9 leads in a week. That's not that much different. Mm-hmm. But you've got to hit that next plateau in order to become that person. All of us want to jump to the 6 sales a week, or 6 installs a week guy. All of us want that. But you don't just become that. You have to plateau up to that, right? So as a brand new rep, you're going from 1 a day to 1.5 a day. And then you become a 2 leads a day rep, right? And then you become a closer, and you have to start at 1 a week. It may feel like you're going down, but you got to go to that plateau. I get 1 sale every single week, no matter what. That's who I am. And then you realize it's not that much more to go to 1.5 a week. So I'm now 1.5 a week. Over a 2-week period, I have to get 3 sales. That's it. And then you hit that plateau, and then you do 2 a week. And it's not like you do it once and you're that guy. You got to prove to yourself and to your leadership that that's who you are. But then you walk around with that confidence. Walk into the room like, this is who I am. I'm a 2 a week rep. That's what I do. That's who I am. And hold that. And then it becomes who you are, and it becomes an expectation. When I was really if you looked at my stats from Legacy, after I made a decision that I was going to be the rabbit for our company in middle of 2015, April of 2015, I was like, dude, we don't have a rabbit. Somebody needs to be the rabbit. Mm-hmm. It used to be Luke Toon, but now he's the co-founder, and he's not in the field, and I'm in the field, and I need to be that guy. So I decided that I was going to get 100 installs from July 1st to December 31st in 2015, and I did it. I got 100 installs in a 6-month period. But from that decision to when I took my VP role, if you looked at the data, you would be hard pressed. You'd maybe find 2 or 3 months where I didn't get at least 10 sales a month, because that's who I was. I walked in a room, that's who I am. I do at least 10 a month. That's the plateau I want to always be at, right? And then I would do others at different times. But how you continue to be hungry is you are striving for that next plateau. And it's not, I don't mad respect for people that go drop 20 in a month, or 30 in a month, or 40 in a month. More respect for the guy that does 20 a month every single month.
Consistency.
Oh man, a happy man is a consistent man.
Love that.
If you want happiness, be consistent. If you want happiness in your marriage, be consistent. If you want happiness in your health, be consistent.
Powerful.
Right? A happy man, happy woman is a consistent person. And so again, not that a big month or big quarter is bad, because that's fantastic. But you want to continue to hit the plateaus, continue to be consistent month in and month out. This is who I am. This is who I am. And again, I did win some awesome competitions. I did 16 self-gens in a day to win a Tesla like years ago. That was awesome, right?
16 self-gens in one day.
And so I've done some cool things, right? But what I'm honestly most proud of is that every single year, 100 installs a year, no matter what. 100 installs a year, no matter what. That's just who I was. I made that decision. That's who I was. I carried that around. That's who I was, and that's what I became. And so I think people continue to be hungry if they are hitting plateaus. And again, forget the dollar amount. The dollar amount will come. But you've just got to progress in practical terms. As a setter, you got to this number of sets, and then this number of sets, and this number of sets. And then as a closer, I got to go here, here, and here. I remember it became really real to me my second summer of selling. I managed a team in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we were selling satellites. And I was starting to get 3 a day every day, 3 sales a day every day. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna.
That was Dish, right?
It was Dish, yep. And then I was like, you know what, dude, I can do 4 a day. And I'm gonna start doing 4 a day. Made the decision. That's who I am. And I started doing 4 every day. Boom, 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 boom. And I was like, you know what? I've been doing 4 a day for about a month. I'm going to do 5 a day.
Oh, very good.
5 a day. Boom, boom, boom. And I got to 6 a day every single day. And it was incredible. And in solar, I got to that same plateau, but instead of a day, it was a week. I was hitting 6 a week every week. Boom, boom, boom.
Wow.
All of that's guaranteed. And I remember one week, I remember where I was at when I had this conversation. We were bringing on a new team. And the previous week, I'd only got 1. And I was like, where are all my people at? Like I was getting 6 a week. That's the level I was at. And I showed them all. And then I got 1 and I was freaking out. And that next week I got 11. And the numbers played out, right?
Lovely.
6 a week guy. That's what I was at. So anyway, that was a long answer, but hopefully there were some good nuggets in there. The plateauing up principle is really what's helped me to succeed at all the different levels, right? And plateauing up, I referenced the gym. If you bench press 200 to get to 225, you don't just add a pound every day. You work off of 200 and you work your max and you do 85% at this number of reps and then 70% at this number of reps, and then 3 months later you max out again and you hit a new plateau, right? And it's that same kind of concept. If I'm a 2 a week in sales rep every single week, I've got to work at that, right? That's got to be what I work off of, and then when I max out again, I can go up to 3, right? So
that's a perfect answer. In fact, you actually answered 3 of my questions in just that one answer over there. I appreciate that. I wanted to actually even add on that. I noticed that like just every sale still excites you. You know, even after being in the industry for so long, and I called you the GOAT early on, and I genuinely do mean that. I think you are the greatest of all time, not just my opinion as well. And the reason why I say that is I feel like those attributes that I see in you, I see a lot in sports that I like in Ronaldo. I see Ronaldo scoring a head, I'm like, dude, you have 800 career goals, but he scores 1, he loses his mind. He has a famous celebration called the C.
Right?
Can we do overtime?
Should we do that on the after I come out of sales? Just get on.
Also, I was going to say that like he everywhere he scores, like Man United, Real Madrid, Juventus, he is just like it when he loses, it drives him nuts. I'm like, you've accomplished every single thing. You've won 5 Champions League. You have all the golden boots. You have this thing. But he just still feels it can give more. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That kind of mentality, it's unmatched. That's what separates, I think, the greats from like the good. You know, and so yeah, I'm not going to go into that. Now then, what I want to dive into, you know, you're a man of faith. You and I belong in the same like religion, same faith as well. And I feel like also people in the door-to-door industry, a lot have come from like members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, what you and I are in. How important is integrity in sales?
Oh man, if you don't have that, you don't have anything, dude. Yeah, integrity is so crucial. So and you know, it stems from there's some faith component of it, right? And it may be our church and it may not be our church. I believe that human beings are good. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what race you are. I don't care how much money you have. You're good. That's a core belief of me. There are very few people that wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I'm going to try to screw somebody today. Some of them try to hack my Instagram or.
I see that. I saw the thing. There's a lot of Ashton Buswells.
Ask for some money, but.
Like, I thought there was one. There's like 5 Ashton Buswells following me. Who's that? Who's that?
So sometimes there are bad people in the world, but a core belief of mine is that people are good and that people are trying to do good. And so one of the things I like about the solar cell, and it personally, is that the more honest you are, the better it is for you. Oh, I love that. Because in sales, you can be flowery, you can kind of say some things that are on the fringe, and they're true, but the way you say them can kind of get a customer to think different, right? And that doesn't work very good in solar because they'll find you out. It's not like, and installs are getting faster and people are getting them in really soon, but I know Sunrun did like 3, what do they call it? Code Blues or something like that, where they signed them up that day and installed them that night. So that might be on the horizon. That'd be awesome if that was a consistent thing. But right now it's not. So people have time to find out if you lied to them or not. You lie to them one time, they're done. They're out. Right? So you've got to be crazy honest. And in sales in general, in life in general, sales in general, man, the more honest you are, the better your life is going to be. And it's funny, as I ask people a trick question, and I usually give them the answer. I shouldn't have maybe said it was a trick question, but let me ask you a question. Who's the most honest person that you know?
My dad. My dad, I think, defines integrity. My dad's a person I strive to be like. My dad is just like the father figure that I wish would receive more recognition, you know what I'm saying? I feel like people like that are always under the radar, but they do so much in the world. So like my dad's a perfect example. And obviously the prophet, like in my religion, so yeah.
So I mentioned it's a trick question, and I'm sure your dad is awesome. My dad's my hero. I love my dad, love my mom, heroes. The answer should be yourself. Who's the most honest person that you know? It should be, I'm the most honest person that I know, right? And that's why it's a trick question. But we normally don't think of it that way, right? Like you're asking me, who do I know?
You tricked me, actually.
Right? I told you it was a trick question. So we often don't think when somebody asks a question like that we can be included in that answer. So your answer wasn't wrong, right? But we should be the most honest people that we know. I'm the most honest person that I know, and that's really hard because I walk around with me all day, every day. And I know the good and the bad that I do, right? But I should be the most honest person that I know. And so I think we get in the habit often, or I should maybe just say me. I've gotten the habit of little white lies or little white things. Like if I'm late to something, just a little like I'm late, but I did do this earlier, but that's not why I'm late. I'm just late. But I'll maybe say, well, there was this thing, right? And I'm on the freeway and there is traffic. So I'm on my way. I've got my NASCAR helmet on. I'll get there as fast as I can. That's the text that I use and get people laughing, right? And I'll get there, but I'm going to be a few minutes late. Sure, there was traffic, but I just left late. It was really just me, right? And little things like that, that's like, all right, my integrity is really the most important thing that I should have. And so, again, I don't care what religion you are. You've got to hold your integrity like to the max, right? And your life will be better.
I love that. Yeah. That's very powerful. I couldn't agree more. I know I'm segueing to another topic right now, but I want to let you know one of the things I really like on your social media, which I follow almost every time I'm on it, is when you post stories of non-negotiable daddy-daughter date. Like, I love that. I'll show my wife every now and then, like, how important is balancing family and work, especially in trying to build consistency and success in both. Because it's so hard, like, especially when you're starting, like, I want to get this thing done, I want to do that thing, I have my wife, but it's like you want to do all this stuff, and like balance may not be a strength for everyone, but it just seems to just be growing into you naturally, and it's a genuine one. It's like a genuine. So how do you balance that?
Man, a lot of effort. A lot of effort and a lot of time. My wife and I have talked about it a little bit recently, and she's like, it doesn't go without sacrifice. At different stages of my career, I've sacrificed and I call it sacrificing at the right time. Like I've sacrificed for things when I've needed to, and it's turned fruitful. But the idea of a couple ideas, keep the main thing, is an idea that I think about. If I'm at an appointment or if I'm working on a project and I need to go pick up my daughter or I need to go see my daughter, what's the main thing? Is my main thing this project I'm working on, or is it to be there when my daughter is doing her thing? Well, the main thing is my daughter. Even is she going to remember that I was 5 minutes early? Probably not. Would she remember if I was 30 minutes late? Probably. Right?
That's true.
To a certain thing. And so what's the main thing? The main thing is my daughter. So having balance is really more, I think, a harmony. Balance is the word we use, but what we really want is harmony. We really want to have a work-life harmony, because if we're in harmony with our spouse, then things are good at home. If we're in harmony with our boss or with our coworkers, then things are good at work, right? I went on a little journey, kind of. I wrestled in high school and college. I was super fit. And then I kind of stopped exercising for a while. And my wife got mad at me because she's like, you still have defined biceps and you don't even work out. And I said, I did 100 push-ups a day in 6th grade, every day. I think I got it from that, But then through the coronavirus, I realized that if I didn't read my scriptures, it was my fault. And if I didn't exercise, it was my fault. If I grinded a full workout, we're all trapped at home, right? And if I worked from 9 in the morning to 9 at night, and I didn't make time to read my scriptures or say my prayers or exercise, that was on me. Because I could wake up at 8 and I'll have time to do all those things. Or I can end my workday at 9 and I can go exercise or read scriptures. Like it was my fault. And I was realizing that I wasn't in harmony with me, with my body. So I went on a journey to get super fit because I wanted to have harmony within my body. And so I started to create these things the things that were the most important things became non-negotiable. And that word stuck with me, and it stuck with a lot of people, that there's certain things, and Stephen Covey talks about big rocks, right? Your big rocks that are most important need to go into your schedule first. To me, those are my non-negotiable things, right? I have a non-negotiable date with my wife. Most important appointment of my week, every week, date with my wife. Non-negotiable date night with my kids. I have 4 daughters. On Tuesday night, you're going to meet me on the most time, and I travel sometimes, and other times we move it to another day. But for the most part, Tuesday night, you're going to see non-negotiable daddy-daughter date. And then on Monday mornings, I have a non-negotiable workout. I found from my body that if I worked out on Monday, that I usually worked out on Tuesday. If I didn't work out on Monday, I usually didn't work out on Tuesday. And for a while, my goal is to exercise 4 times a week. So if I didn't exercise on Monday and then not on Tuesday, I have to exercise Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or I don't get my goal.
It's powerful.
But if I did on Monday, then usually I did on Tuesday. And if I did on Tuesday, then I've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday to get 2 days in.
Money. Wow.
I'm going to hold for a second. That door over there. So if I got in those the Monday and Tuesday in my exercising, then I would have 4 days to get 2 days done, and I almost every single week got it. So it became a non-negotiable thing for me. And truthfully, when I post it on social media, I do it for 2 main reasons. The main reason is accountability to me, because I'm a man of my word, and that's what I've said I'm going to do. That's what I've said I'm going to do to myself and to others, but mostly to me. So if I did it, and people joke, like, if you didn't go to the gym, if you didn't post about surfing, did you actually go surfing? If you didn't post about the gym, did you actually go to the
What's it called? If it's no pick, it means didn't happen.
Whatever, right? I think that's stupid.
Pick or it didn't happen.
I think that's stupid. But it also, it gives accountability, right? So I'm accountable to me. And one of the things that I love about it is that it's inspired other people, man. The thing that I am most proud of in my door-to-door career, and I've done some awesome things in my door-to-door career, the thing I'm most proud of is I've taught a lot of people to go on dates with their wives, where they may not have or make it a non-negotiable thing. Some may have gone on dates or periodically or whatever, but people of all different backgrounds, when I see them post non-negotiable date with my wife, my heart is warmed, because their future together as a couple, their future for their family is so good. The best thing I could ever do for my kids, for my daughters, is to date and love my wife. That's the best thing I could ever do for them. And I love that I get to do that. And then I also show them, when I take them on dates, hey, this is how a gentleman should treat you, and I get the door for them, and I'm courteous to them, and I show them how I interact in situations. I went to a basketball game last night, and we bought tickets up high, and there was tons of seats on the front, and I was like, let's be adventurous. Let's go see if we can go sit on the front row. And we went down basically to there was 2 seats, 2 rows on the floor, and then the next row like in the stands. We went and sat down on those stands, made friends with the guy, and he said, my daughter didn't show up, you can have those 2 seats, and we sat right there. And that was, now my daughter knows, hey, we can be adventurous. The worst they could tell us.
Exactly.
Sometimes they'll tell us yes, and we'll get front row seats. And sometimes they'll tell us no, and we'll just go sit back where we sat.
I love
Right?
that.
So anyway, I'm going on a tangent
I
here,
love
but
it.
the non-negotiable stuff is really important for my harmony in my life. You talked about how do you have the balance, making sure that my non-negotiables, keeping the main thing, right? And then turning my brain on and turning my brain off at the right times too. When it's time for me to be at work, it's time for me to be off of social media. It's time for me to be even off of like texting things with my wife. It's time for me to be in the game at work.
That requires discipline. Like our generation is very accustomed to on the phone, like the next notification, the next like FaceTime, the next Instagram, this thing. So it's hard to do that.
Oh, so hard. And so it builds, it takes some muscle, right? I've gotten to a point where I leave my phone downstairs, and I bought an old school alarm clock. I don't go to sleep with my phone, I don't wake up with my phone. But there's an alarm on there, and it's actually not a bad thing. And some people want to have it connected because they want to know their sleep cycles, and they want to have all these things. So I get all that stuff, right? But when I'm at home, man, when it's 7 o'clock and I'm waking up my daughters, that's the most important thing. Like that is a very sacred hour for me in the morning. Because sometimes, like today, I probably won't see my kids. I'll try to make it home for scriptures, right? But I'll wake them up, feed them breakfast, have prayers, walk them to the bus stop, and then spend some time with my wife, and then I'm in the grind, man. Game on. Turn my business hat on, boom, I'm hustling. And communicate with my wife, this is where I'm at right now, this is the things I'm gonna be doing. And so other times it's like, hey, I'm gonna be home for lunch, I'm gonna be home for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, let's do that all together, right? And I can do that. And other times it's not that way. And tonight, I told my wife, we communicated, and like I'm probably gonna stay late. But we do scriptures at 8:15, so I'm gonna try to be home at 8:15 so I can do scriptures with my family, pray with them, tell them I love them, ask them about their day, tell them about my day, and connect, right? So anyway, the way you have balance is there is a lot of discipline, but you turn things on when they need to be on and turn things off when they need to be off. When I go to the gym, I leave my phone in the car. It's time for me to be at the gym. It's not time for me to be responding to text messages or emails from customers. When I go to church, I put my do not disturb on, or leave my phone in the car. When I go to the temple, for sure, the phone is in the car. That's me and God time. Nobody else's time, me and God. Right? We're in the game together. I'm in with him. He's in with me. Game on. Let's go be together. Right? And so learning how to do that can be tough, but it's so rewarding if you can get good at it.
Awesome. I like that a lot. It's very inspiring. I feel fatherhood is so important. As you heard when I talked to John, I just like talking a lot about that. I feel like the presence of fathers make a big impact. The presence of fathers just changes perspective. The fact that it's even non-negotiable. In other words, it's already in the schedule and nothing can take it out because it's like, it's there. It's solid, it's solidified, it has to be done as well. I like that a lot. I wanted to segue into another topic. I like the phrase, which I always like talk a lot to people about. It's called your network is your net worth. You always one connection away. Not necessarily, they always say we're one connection away from like a 7-figure or like 6-figure, but not just that, but there's just so much value from just getting to know people. I like reaching out to, like, everyone I've reached out to is always caliber, like you. You know, I just feel like I learned so much more than by myself, you know. So the reason why I want to go to that, like I did an internship in New York 3 years ago. I worked in Bloomberg in New York City, Manhattan, and I was one of the interns that actually got to meet Mike Bloomberg. But I had to go, yeah, and so I had to go through about 7 different people. Started with like my team lead, ended up going to like in management. Then after I had to speak to someone in HR who ended up working in the executive branch and gave me like the executive assistant's number and his PA as well. And then eventually a sit-up time, which took about 2 weeks. But within those 35 minutes I had one-on-one with him, I didn't necessarily look at $60 billion Mike Bloomberg. I'm like, those 35 minutes of me having a conversation just changed the paradigm shift completely for me, because in my mind, I'm like, wow, people can achieve way beyond what they think they can. You know what I'm saying? Not networking, like just him and him, and you know, and his net worth and so forth as well. I want to go into how has networking or connecting with people like changed it for you.
So at the very start, I went on the things that kind of helped develop me, and then I said I'm a man of faith and a lover of people. That's who I am. I love people, and I truly believe that I can learn something from anyone. I was around a guy once that said, it like broke my heart a little bit. We were serving at a homeless shelter here in San Diego. And he's like, man, I will never do that again. We'll never do that again. That was horrible. I don't want to be around those people. I want to be around people that I want to be like, and I want to be associated with. I don't want to be around people that don't have a home and don't have these things. And it broke my heart, because I'm like, man, we're here giving to people that don't have anything. And he was kind of loud about it. And in my mind, I thought, well, you want to hang out with Bloomberg and Tesla or Elon Musk, and right, you want to hang out with those people. Do you think they think the same about you? Well, I don't want to hang out with that guy. He only makes $1 million in a year. That guy's not my guy. That's a scum, right?
Pretty much.
And so it gave me some perspective that I can learn, and I already had this perspective, but I still believe it with all my heart. I can learn from anyone. Sometimes people get hung up on and it is real, the people that you hang out with the most, you're going to be the most like. Now, sometimes that is your average income, but it's also going to be who you are and how you talk and how you treat your wife, right? And all that stuff. All of that is a part of your network. And so there's something to be said about just pure relationships and going into a relationship not expecting anything in return. You would be so surprised at who is connected with who when you go into a relationship that is just out of pure, genuine, I want to be friends with you. You seem like a freaking cool guy. Let's be friends. Rather than like, well, how much do you make, dude? Ooh, what do you drive? Ooh, I don't know if we could be friends. I mean, I want to be friends. Like, you seem super cool, but I got to be around people that are, you know? But that happens, man. That's a real thing that happens in our world. But what I would say is, on the networking bit of it, is to find out about people and listen with your eyes. When I'm in a relationship, talking to somebody or whatever, if I'm engaged with them, they feel like, man, this guy really likes me. He's really talking to me. Because so often even when we're trying to network with somebody, we're like getting to know them a little bit, and we're kind of all over the place instead of just locking in. I coached a little 4-year-old soccer once, and AYSO, and at the end of the game, I would go up to the kids and I would just make them stare at me. And I'd say, did you have fun today? You did so great. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy you're here. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. Because I want that kid to know that they're important, right? From a person that's like an older guy. And after every game, every single kid, I would go and do that with, right? And we can do that with people that are important to us. If we want to network with somebody, man, get into their life. Tell me who you are, man. Tell me what's important to you. Tell me about your wife. Tell me about your kids. I want to hear about that stuff. The way that you treat your wife and kids is going to be more important to me than the way you treat your Tesla. You know what I mean? And so anyway, looking at people in their eyes, really getting to know who they are, is going to be the fastest way to build a relationship with somebody than just trying to hobnob and whatever. And I want to be around the best. I want to be around the best. I want to help the best. I want to be part of the best, right? And I want to make sure that I'm associating with good people. What will happen if you become the best? If you become the best person that you can be, people will be attracted to that. People will want to come talk to you.
That's powerful.
Right? And then you'll get to know them, and your network will grow. And then I'll add one more thing. Sometimes it's important or good to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation to grow.
Getting out the comfort zone, basically.
Yep. If you're feeling really good and you're feeling really solid, this year I've invested in a few different places where I'm going to spend more time with people that I don't really know, and I'm excited to get to know them, and I hope they are excited to get to know me, and we'll grow together, right? And it's an atmosphere where they're successful and they're good and they want what I want, which is good and happiness and healthy relationships, right? And prosperity and all those things. So if you feel like you're crushing it and your company and you're doing amazing, but you're kind of like, all right, what's next? Go put yourself out there a little bit. Find some ways to go meet some people that are like-minded and that you can grow with.
That's powerful. That's very, very powerful. I actually really like that a lot. I wanted to touch base and talk more about how the influence of technology and personal branding. Usually, I'd say for you, with the amount of success you have, you're not one of those like, I made that, I made this, I made that. Your brand is more family orientated, uplifting and helping others. I've noticed that as well. You're not going to go out there and just like keep like posting stories of checks and stuff like that, obviously. But I want to talk about like how important is then personal branding? Like how would you implement that for what you do and also at the same time what you believe in?
So, personal branding is an interesting thing because what I've noticed with social media is that there's some people that may not be that great, but because they say they're great and they have some good videographers and they do it and they say they're great long enough that a lot of people think they're great. And it's interesting. I remember when I first started in solar, there was a company that I actually didn't think was that great. Their product offering was not that great. But they told enough people that they were great, and they had enough people that were saying they were great, that they did really good. And I'm like, but that's actually not a very good product offering. But they had enough people that were talking to that it was good, and that kind of made it good, right? So with your personal brand, you can ramp up your brand and say that you're really good, and some people will believe it. And other people will be like, I think that's smoke. And so ultimately you have to become what it is that you want, right? When you become what it is that you want, or you've got a vision, this is who I want to be, this is how I want to show up, I'm up to big things. I want to show up that way, right? And you become that, then when anybody sees you, whether you've promoted a ton or you haven't, you're that. You're what you said you are. And that carries a lot of weight, right? So I don't know if that answers your question.
No, that does. That definitely does. I know when I spoke to you earlier on, I said I also wanted to. I'm not going to go too much in depth with Amazon. I think this was the entire purpose. I wanted to like dig deep and get to find out more about you, personality traits, work ethic, but what I want to touch on in terms of like just investments as well as we conclude here. What are some of the investment opportunities that you've pursued with solar? Because I know sometimes we may be young, many people are young and they're like, oh, I'm getting so much money, boom, let me get that, without actually having residual income or actually having like something that keeps, that's an asset. So I wanted you to touch a bit more on that, if you can just elaborate on some of the stuff on that.
So I have a couple of qualifiers for when I do an investment right now. I do. So I had somebody say to me one time, they were like, so how are you doing in solar? I'm like, I'm doing pretty good. Like, what are you making? I'm like, I don't know, I'm making like $10,000 a week. They're like, dude, if you did $20,000 a week, that's $1 million a year. And I was like, you're right. I should do that, right? I should do $20,000 a week. That's $1 million a year. And then I was like, okay, I can do that. We just have to do this and this and this and this, and I can make that happen. But what I should really do is I should really figure out a way to make $20,000 a week residual income. That's what I should really do, because whether I pick up a finger or not, I'm making $1 million a year. So that kind of shifted my mental mind frame, and my goals are really financially revolved around that, where I'm trying to create residual income. But in the same token, solar is a cash cow right now. I don't want to take my eye off the ball. So one of the qualifiers with my investing is that the investment has to be one where I don't really spend a lot of time doing it. I'll spend some time up front. Somebody presents me a real estate deal. I'll look through it a little bit. But then I'll ask some pretty pointed questions, like, how much do I have to do on this? Do I have to do anything? My brother-in-law approached me about wanting to invest in an Airbnb. I said, dude, I'm all in. The numbers look good, as long as I don't do anything but give you money and everything else is taken care of. I'm okay to pay a premium to have a management fee. I'm okay to do that as long as there's positive cash flow. I'm in, because I don't want to take my eye off of my cash cow right now. My Amazon stores it's been one of the best investments I've ever made in my life, ever. And I don't do anything. I researched it. I found these great guys. They're crushing it with Amazon stores.
What's the company name for it? Because I think I interviewed the CEO yesterday.
Ecom Partners, probably not. So, but there's a few other companies that do it. And so, but what I've done with it is, and I'm happy to connect anybody to these guys. They're great. I invest the money, and I pay off my credit card, and they handle the sales. They handle I split the commissions with them, right? There's a administration fee and whatever on the back end. My value, because dollars follow value, unless there's value created, it's a scam, right? So don't fall for scams. I got scammed out of $200,000. Not proud of it. Good learning lesson. Glad it wasn't 200 million or 2 million, right? But I had one of those people that did wake up in the morning one day and say, I'm going to go screw somebody, and I got screwed out of $200,000. It hurt. Still hurts. But with the Amazon stores, I invest the money. I don't have to deal with returns. I don't have to deal with their changing policies all the time. I invested one time, and then they have a credit card on file to buy products. They buy the products, they sell it for more, and I get a profit. And so there's good investments like that, right? And what I see sometimes happening is what you mentioned. People get a lot of money and they blow it on stupid stuff. Unless you can flip your car for more money, it's probably a bad investment. And some people are going to be mad at me for saying that, right? It feels awesome to drive a brand new whatever, right? Tesla or Porsche or Mercedes or BMW. It feels awesome. Unless you have enough income coming in to be able to pay for that on a residual basis, I would maybe say don't do that. Now, I want a Tesla, so I drive a Tesla. I want it. I was driving a Honda Accord for a really long time and loved it. I drove a Nissan Sentra for a really long time, and I'm happy I upgraded to an Accord.
So your Tesla was 1% one time when you put it on your story when you forgot to charge it.
Yeah, I got down to
that was like 2 months ago.
Yeah, that was scary. So anyway, the investments that I've invested in, I've got commercial properties. I'm actually kind of working with these guys that are doing these amazing syndicate commercial real estate properties. That's been amazing. So I'm connecting people with them, connecting people with the Amazon guys, and then other things will come my way. And I've lost some. I lost $200,000 in a poor investment. I partnered with another guy to start a drug rehabilitation clinic for adolescents, and lost $45,000. It was awesome. It looked great. It met all the requirements, and it was going to do good in the world. And I really liked it, and I lost a lot of money because it didn't work out, and the insurance didn't pay off, and blah 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 blah. Right? So with investing, you're going to lose some money probably. Hopefully not a lot. Hopefully not as much money as I've lost. But I've learned from every single time that I've invested in something and it didn't work out. Right? And so I would tell people, be smart with your money. Make sure your money is making money for you. Make your money have babies. That's what you want to have, right? Make your money have babies, and be smart with your money. If you don't have an emergency fund, if you don't have liquid assets, there's a bunch of categories that you can kind of go in and but again, for myself, some qualifiers that I can't take away from my cash cow, and that's solar. So my focus is there, and I don't know if that's what you wanted to hear.
You've
but-
been dropping bombs nonstop. That was another nuclear boom, boom, boom. Anyway, so last question. I always ask this to people as we conclude. I know it's such a broad question, if you were just to summarize it in your own words. What makes a successful entrepreneur?
Somebody that's not willing to give up.
Hun. You can't continue after that. All right, if you could tell people where they could get a hold of you, which social media platforms, either YouTube, Instagram, and if they want to find out more about sales and learn about sales, how could they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so just Ashton Buswell on Instagram. My Facebook is Ashton Mitchell Buswell. Those are my main platforms right now. I'm on LinkedIn as well, Ashton Buswell on there. The Instagram stuff is probably the things where you're going to see the more of the trainings and different things like that. If you want to come work for Legacy, that's where you get all the trainings. But those are the places where you can follow me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, GOAT. Can you guys take a picture with Ashton and I right over here?
So I was born in Pakistan. When I was about 4 years old, my family said, hey, there's a lot of corruption going on here. Actually, my mother said, hey, there's a lot of corruption going on here. The only way to really get ahead in life is to bribe someone to get into a position that you want to get into in life. You got to go and kind of pick your way around politics and all this. She's like, I want my kids to live an honest life. I want to make sure that they have a phenomenal environment to actually grow and become who they need to become. What is it that makes Tarab, right? And so I read a lot of books. I had some really, really close friends. Right around my junior year of high school, I became a bit of an elitist. I read a lot of books, a lot of philosophy, a lot of nature novels. And my mom's like, why don't you try out dentistry, dude? Like what's the harm? And I said, sure. First and foremost, you got to work your ass off if you want to be anywhere in life. Right? Becoming a dentist in general requires a little bit of work, a little effort. I said to myself, I'm willing to go into dentistry just to prove to myself that I can compete with the smartest people.
I love that.